The Jesus Trilogy, Book 2, Then There Were Two, Chapter 2. You get sweeter every day, baby, Jesus said. So do you, love, Mary returned his compliment. So what do you think, love? Mary asked. It's up to you, baby. I love you and I want you to do what you want to do. But it will be so hard. I cannot be without you. We'll hardly ever see each other. Here, her eyes began to moisten. She leaned over and kissed him again full on the lips. Then she squeezed him tighter and began to tremble. She just didn't know what was right. He was always so sweet and left it in her hands. But she sometimes wished he would just order her to stay or go. Since Joseph had died, Jesus had worked steadily in the carpenter shop of his father. Though he was not as skilled as his father, he was still an excellent craftsman, and with more experience he was beginning to show signs of the creativity Joseph was famous for. He was supporting himself, his mother, and Jennifer, his baby sister. Jed, his brother, was running his own firm in Nazareth, and Rachel, his older sister, had married the wrestler. They had to get married. Jesus was already an uncle. Little Nathan was 6 months old. When Jesus first saw him, he himself knew he must have a child. He and Mary were such a handsome couple, and they would soon be married. The item of business was to have a child. They both wanted one, but Mary's career might interfere. College in Capernaum was only a month away. They would be married Saturday, August 4, and then Mary had to decide whether to take a full scholarship in journalism at Capernaum or forgo it and stay in Nazareth with her beloved husband and make babies. If she went to the university, she could be home on weekends, but she knew there would be a lot of intense study, and she wasn't sure how much she and her love could be together. Yet she so desperately wanted to go to Capernaum University and get her degree. Then she could get the journalism job at Nazareth Times newspaper and work her way up. Plus, she could do some writing on the side. She just didn't know what to do. I'm sorry, baby. I don't mean to cry. I love you so much, and I want the children, and I want my degree. She held him even tighter. He began to rock her, swaying back and forth. The light breeze evaporated some of her tears and some of his. They lay back in the hammock on Jesus' deck and held each other. The sun set and they finally fell asleep in each other's arms, salt-stained cheek to salt-stained cheek. The next morning was a blur, and soon they both heard the words they were so anxious to say. Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward? I do. Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward? I do. I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride. Cheers went up from the audience of several hundred people. Johnny leaned over, took Diana in his arms, and kissed her for what seemed like an eternity. It really only lasted 30 seconds. Johnny loved to kiss Diana. Her kisses were so very sweet. But this one was even sweeter than he could remember. Before he met her, he hadn't even enjoyed kissing girls. Well, on the lips anyway. But he knew he would never get enough of her sweet lips. But he would try for the rest of his life. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce to you John and Diana. Diana, barely 5 feet 1 inch tall, but stunningly beautiful with jet black hair and eyes to match, took Johnny's arms. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall and 235 pounds with red, curly hair. Their smiles were as wide as the ocean as they marched down the aisles and into the waiting carriage. Jesus had been the best man, and he and Mary were designated as drivers to escort the couple to the hotel where they would spend their honeymoon. It was the shore view on the Galilee shore near Capernaum. The next morning they would take the ferry across the lake and spend the next week at the Surf and Sand Resort, an exclusive property in the quaint seaside town of Kinneret. With Johnny's big contract signing, he now had the means to enjoy a wonderful honeymoon and support his lovely bride as she was accustomed. She loved Johnny with all her heart, but she also appreciated the finer things of life. She knew he could provide it all for her: love, money, fame, or status, as she put it. She was a year older than Johnny and loved him with all her heart. They would have a lot of time to spend together. She already knew the house she wanted in Capernaum, and they would go house shopping after the honeymoon. She could then have her baby girl. Johnny would be off to training camp in a month. She would be pregnant. Life would be perfect. She thanked God every day for Johnny, his love, and the fact that she could continue the lifestyle she was accustomed to. There's only one problem: Elizabeth. Johnny had said he had wanted to get a house big enough so Elizabeth, his mother, could stay with them. Diana hadn't said much about such a plan, but she knew it wouldn't work. She had spent a lot of time thinking about how to keep that from happening. She would have to catch Johnny in a weak moment. After all, she had the power over him. He had told her from the first day they met that he loved her and couldn't live without her. She knew right then that she had the power over the man she loved. That feeling of having power over such a powerful man gave her a rush like she had never had before. She knew to keep it, she would have to get him away from not only another lover, but also from his mother. She recognized the strong bond there, and she was determined to break it and become number one in her man's life. She must catch him in a weak moment, the weakest of moments, and she knew exactly when that would be.